Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Countdown 2025. And today I am with Jeanine Hauck. Did I say your name properly?
Close, Jeanine Hauck.
Hauck. Okay. So get ready to meet someone who makes breaking free from old patterns sound as cool as it actually is. Jeanine Hauck is an energy empowerment coach with a gift for spotting those sneaky subconscious blocks that keep us stuck. She's mastered the art of clearing out energetic clutter so that you can tap into your full potential and reach new heights. If you know you are meant to live more than the average life, you are in the right place. I just love your bio. It's so empowering and so like, yeah, let's do this.
Thank you. It really is so much fun. I've always had a passion for wondering how people think and curious and being able to see the patterns that they're living. And so it's so cool that life has kind of brought me to this place where I get to do that for a living. So yeah, I feel very grateful every day.
Oh, that's awesome. So, talking about that, living grateful for what you do every day, let's get people to know you. Can you share a moment or an experience that sparked your passion for what you do, and how does this passion translate into the work that you offer?
So, I mean, as I shared, it's something I've always been really interested in, but I used to be a hairdresser. So to be where I am today, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to the box that I'd created for myself and what my life was going to look like. When I was 17 and graduated from high school, I had my whole life planned. Like I was going to be a farmer's wife. I wasn't going to be the lead character in my life. I was going to be the wife of the farmer. So I find that so funny when I look back because I had set such solid constructs of what it was going to look like, what the parameters were in my life for right and wrong, how to act, everything like that. And I had through serendipitous ways, came across a Connect with Your Angels class. And so in this class, it was something, the spiritual stuff, I always nerded out about it. I was always it always lit me up, but it wasn't something I was actively pursuing. So this class, I thought, oh, why not? And as I was in this class, I realized I had so many questions, but I didn't want to ask any of them for fear of feeling stupid or looking stupid from the perspective of other people. And I'm glad that I'd used that word. I'm like, oh, I feel stupid. What if I look dumb? All of that, because it was something that was enough to shake me out of it and realize, hey, this is an experience that I invested in. This is something I'm really interested in knowing. What would happen if I look dumb? Who cares? And so at that point, I started raising my hand in class and being like, hey, what about this? And it was so interesting because I watched it create a ripple effect in that class. And suddenly people were like, oh, I was wondering that too. And I was just too afraid to say, I wanted to know that too. And so it kind of went from there where I was like, oh, I shifted the reality of what was possible and it affected other people as well. And it was a really simple way to see that. It was such a simple and very early on in my experience way to see that. But I began to see where we're putting limitations on ourselves, and what is possible when we release those limitations and we're like, hey, what can we do from this limitless space? Since then, it's so funny. I used to be a hairdresser, and then since then, I've been given guidance from the universe in breadcrumbs until I was at this point, to the point where last year I even went to Egypt to be able to further this part of my journey. So it's been really incredible to see what has been possible in my life, but then to be able to help my clients do the same and watch them light up when they're like, oh, this was a story I've always been living. I didn't realize that it actually wasn't true. It was just something that I'd experienced, I made rules about, and I created beliefs around. But that actually doesn't have to be my reality. I can be very intentional with the reality I'm creating. And so it allows them to really get into that limitless space. And I do say that with a caveat. A lot of times people say that limitless space, oh, you can have everything and anything and rainbows and unicorns and all of that. And I like to say that that stuff, even though you're limitless, you're still going to have limitations, stories, beliefs, things like that coming up because you're never going to stop pushing yourself to the next level or like striving or having that desire to reach that next level for yourself. But how you look at those blocks that you're coming up against now gets to shift. How you're looking at those blocks, they now get to be windows at, oh, where I get to grow through, what I get to experience to be at the level I wish to be. So it's not so much about saying, hey, I'll never have limitations, but giving you the tools so that you can really be in your self leadership.
Yeah, that's awesome because life happens whether we want it or not. I always say that because for some reason I work with intuition. People come to me, they're like, I want to hear my inner self or my higher self. I'm like, and when you hear, what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
And as a hairdresser, you've heard the conditioning and the narrative and the beliefs and everything. So does that help you in the work that you do today?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. I know they always say hairdressers are like bartenders. It's really gave me a good skill to be able to listen and to actually hear what people are saying when they're talking. So not necessarily what they're saying, but what they're actually saying underneath. And it's
Mm.
really interesting. I think we all do to an extent, or often do. We have these victim programming that's running in the background where it's like, oh, why me? Why does this always happen to me? Or I'm helpless, I can't do anything about it. And it's when you're able to see that and when you're able to just look at that with no judgment, it's so magical how you can transform that. I know I'm going to call myself out. When I'm out of alignment, that's what I go to. I go into victim mentality. I have 3 young kids from like age 3 to 7. And so I'm like, oh, I never have help. It's always too much. Like I go into those stories and so I'm like, oh, thank you for showing me in such a clear way where I'm out of alignment. Because is this the truth? No, no, it's not.
And the limitless, this is where it happens, where you can actually take 2 steps back and observe instead of
Yeah.
going where you are. Well, thank you for sharing this. So, what if someone was to come and work with you? What would be one key transformation or benefit from engaging with your work? How would it impact their life or their goals?
I think, like I brought up before, it's really important to realize that to be able to have the tools to be in that limitless energy so you can be in your self leadership because we are manifesting and it's really important to be aware that we are manifesting everything in our life, everything, whether we consider the thing good or bad or whatever title we want to put in onto it, we have manifested that. And so by being fully aware of that and owning that, we can then take a step in a very empowered way and we can actually make the choice to choose something different, whether it's releasing a story, healing a belief, breaking through a block, unconscious, subconscious, all of that. It all starts with realizing that you have a choice and that you've manifested everything in your life. And so, as my title is an energy empowerment coach, it's all about empowering you because whether we work together for one call, a year, further, it's about making sure that you have the tools, whether I'm there or not.
Yeah, and it is, like you said, a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
Oh my God, but it's so beautiful to have someone to like say, like call you and say, well, today I made the choice to do this and to be able to talk it out, right? I know that for me, having a guide, having a mentor has been one of the most empowering. We don't always see what's happening, and having someone that can empower us,
Yeah.
and work in our energy with us is so awesome. So, if you could leave the audience with one piece of advice or insight that you found to be transformative, what would it be and why?
I think I want to go to what I share a talk with in this countdown. I really want to reiterate the point and bring it home because it is so important. And it'll support you so much in 2025. And 2025 is all about joy, harnessing joy, letting it be part of your life in all areas, letting joy be part of your business plan. And the reason I feel the need to reiterate it is because often when it's such a simple thought, we can push it off or we cannot give it the importance that it deserves. And I feel like joy is very similar and at the same place as like gratitude. A lot of times with our gratitude practice, we undermine it or we undervalue it for what it's actually doing. And so that's why joy gets an entire year next year, because it'll take a little bit of effort to really be in that place and give yourself a moment to look at, hey, where am I not in joy? Where am I doing things out of obligation? Where am I doing things out of shoulds, coulds, have tos? Um, and so it'll be a year of really shedding the things that aren't aligned with that joy, if you choose it.
If you choose it, I love it. I love that you keep on saying it. It's like, sometimes I feel like I'm a recorder, you know, you press like play, stop, play, stop, play, stop. Because I'm always saying, if you choose it, if you choose it, if you choose it. I can't wait, Jeanine, for people to hear your gift and to explore the joy in 2025. I want to thank you so much for bringing this magic to the countdown. And before we leave, I was going to ask you about a mindset of a practice, but I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to ask you, what is the mantra that you would like people to go with in 2025?
Oh, you're really going to make me think here.
Yes.
Oh, what would be a good one? I think it comes back to just going with a classic. I am worthy.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
If you're listening today, keep on saying it. I am worthy, and 2025, it's going to be all about joy. Thank you, Jeanine, for being here. Thank you for listening, and we will see you with the next speaker.